Free spirit, take one.
What's up, everybody? This is called Feel the Spirit. I don't want the world to see me. I don't want to be heard. I don't want fans. I want the world to feel me. I want to be listened to. I want believers and I want family. Enough of being seen, stared at, always being asked the same questions. I don't want to hang out. I don't want to hook up. I don't want your money or for you to say good luck. I want the entire planet to feel love and all push for peace, not one up each other. Let's hug and talk more in person rather than stare at a screen. Let's fall in love with the person, not the looks, because that will be judging a cover and not reading the chapters of a book.
Emaweni we baba silale 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 emaweni we baba.
QueerWise has been around for 10 years, a writing collective primarily, and I was just noodling as I do, and I thought, what can we do here to shake things up a little bit? And, the people in QueerWise are very talented and giving and want to be of service to a larger purpose. So I thought, well, we got this grant from the city of West Hollywood, which was a thrill for 3 years. This is our first year. And I thought, well, what can we do? How can we do this? And I thought, well, maybe the QueerWise people could mentor members of the homeless, people who are experiencing homelessness, that community. So that's what we did. We matched, it sounds a lot easier than it is, we matched individuals who are experiencing homelessness with people in QueerWise to have sessions where they encourage them to tell their story, to write their narrative. As we all know, everybody's saying it now. Everybody's talking about it. Storytelling. It's the buzzword of the 21st century. We've been doing it for longer than that even, but it is. And nothing is more important than hearing someone's story.
Yeah, this camera's amazing.
Yeah, it looks insane. It's got like 3 cameras on it.
It's
like
really, really great. Yeah, you can do some great work with it.
And your colors are good for the whole.
Yeah, no, you totally.
Y'all really
totally
made
work
something
it.
out of this right now. Okay, cool. All right, we ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's make a little bit humor out of this. Give me a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown.
You want me to do a cut? Okay.
Okay.
I don't fear many things. The things that I do fear may seem irrational for a man like me. Frogs. Frogs are one of my biggest fears. And I haven't a clue why. It's just something about them strikes such a deep fear in my soul. It's almost paralyzing. My children found it extremely hilarious to chase me around with them. They're gross. They're sticky, slimy, and they make the most terrifying sounds. And so do frogs. Another fear that strikes a chord is not doing enough for others in my lifetime. I fear there's so much to be done and that I may breathe my last breath before I complete my life's mission. I've spent 20 plus years serving my community, and there's still so much to be done. I feel my body's limitations and my heart's desires are not aligned. I wish to be Superman and save the world from hatred and bias. Why Superman, you say? Well, when I think of Superman, I think of where his superpowers come from, inside him. He wasn't bitten by a spider or created external weaponry. Everything he is comes from within, and this is why I see my reflection clearly. As a person of trans experience, my strength, my courage, my resilience comes from within me. Through my battles with my arch nemesis, societal norms, I found my superpowers, and this has gotten me on the other side of life's challenges, including homelessness. Transmasculine individuals are in an interesting predicament. As we transition, we step out of a protected class, meaning there are no housing facilities specific to our needs. There are very real safety risks being placed in a women's or men's shelter. So many like me have no resources to assist us through these challenges, like homelessness. And I want to be part of the solution. Autonomy, to be my truest, highest self, is what I search for as I laid on the hard, cold concrete, dozing off under the night sky after a long day of survival. This was my reality for 2 years, only 5 miles from my parents' house at 19 years old. I wanted to be home, but a home where I belong and allowed to be exactly who I am. 21 years later, I've realized home inside me and the chosen family. Now, I know home is anywhere and everywhere we are together as a family and me.
Okay, I'll try. Okay. Nothing lasts, of course, except perhaps art with a capital A, and memories of love. But if you love your art, your craft, and your love, memories prove those false. You know you're homeless, without sustenance, and out on the street. For 28 years, I had a home with the man I loved and lived with, and married when we were allowed to in 2014. But we had met in Toronto in 1972 when I was resident playwright at Buddies in Bad Times, a sublime poor theater there, a haven for queer writers. But I'd been in and around all other theaters, gotten awards, had a small shelf of them, and copious framed posters of my plays. Push ahead all of those years to more recently. It's now 2:30 a.m. or thereabouts on a Monday early morning, and I'm asleep in a car which is parked in a garage next to a nice duplex home off of a quiet WeHo street. Probably I entered the garage illegally, but the door was slightly open, also the door of the car. In the dark, I think the car is maybe a Ford Focus, but its back seat is strangely comfy. I've wandered these streets all over, going into the heart of Santa Monica, as there's a hotel there that allows transients to use the bathroom. And even if you're homeless, you need to defecate and you need toilet paper. But after more street time, there's a specific brand of wet wipettes street pros carry around with them. I'm frightened, though, of falling asleep in this Ford, although I want to, as I badly need sleep. I need to hold out until 7 a.m. when the Gelsons near what was my home, the Gelsons on Santa Monica near North Florida Street, opens. The manager there remembers me from when I regularly shopped there and when I had a reputable apartment I lived in with my husband of that 28-year duration. But that's done. I've been divorced, and this isn't to play the women. My ex did divorce me and had a trap to catch me with 2 gay policewomen from the West Hollywood Sheriff's Office ordering me to sign a form not to come on our old city block ever again. However, I have a surprise for them. I sign and agree to their terms, but write that they must contact 2 therapists my ex and I have been to who will testify that my ex is very ill with Alzheimer's also, or possibly Louis' dementia. Now we flash back to the garage. Too nervous to sleep there, I get out of the car and I'm grabbed. Remember, it's 2:30 in the morning. And I recognize the person who grabs me as another man I've seen walking the streets. He says, "You don't belong here in this garage. You're homeless like me. And now I'm going to fuck you." I run away. Street life is sometimes like bad theater, except there's no intermission.
This project I felt was really important because I think a lot of times we can all get very bogged down in our own stuff and our own lives. And I thought it would be really enriching to work with someone else and help them or guide them actually write about their own lives and what's, their hopes, their dreams, their fears. And I thought it would be a great way to connect.
So about maybe 10 years ago, I was homeless for about 2 years, and there was 2 different stints of homelessness that I survived through. And the first one was just around, like, literally I left home because I couldn't be me. As a trans man, like, I didn't have anywhere else to go, so I'd rather be homeless than be in a space where I'm not affirmed.
What do you want home to be? Home is in our mind. Home is being satisfied in what you have. In the kitchen, you hear yelling, as well as the sounds of plates moving around. The fire is bubbling. You can smell as much as see the cigarette smoke on the walls down as well into the lungs. Everything in the house smells like a pack of Newports. Walk past the table, you'll be in my mom's room. It's filled with knickknacks, creepy dolls, and clowns. A ton of empty bottles taking up space. In her closet, she has a bunch of pretty clothes. There is this sofa in the middle of the room. It's a rusty orange color. And it's falling apart. Who knows where it even came from? The house only doors are in the front, in the back, in the bathroom. Now we made it to me and my sister's room. I don't have pleasant memories here. And we're not going to talk about it. The bathroom has a very old type of bathtub. No matter how much you clean it, it still looks the same. The windows were small. That's all I can describe of it, but I'm glad I don't live there anymore.
Just the way you said certain things and you stopped and you looked and then I mean, just like very natural.
Because it's actual, these are my words. These are not made up. I didn't get these from someone else. So if I read them a couple times, then it's going to be what I said because I said it. You guys just asked me to put it on paper. So now I cut it off and be like, bam, okay, this is what it is. Bam, bam, and that's it, and that's all. I love life.
He was my daddy. He was mine and only mine for 5.5 years. I didn't have to share him with anyone. Walter Alvin Chilton, Chili to his closest friends, Walt to others, Daddy to me. Daddy worked the 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift for the Continental Can Company, so he was a daytime dad. We went grocery shopping every Monday, and on Tuesdays, he did the laundry and taught me how to do it too. We went to the beach in the summer and made snow forts in the winter. Dad was there before I went to school. He often took me there and picked me up. And he was there when I returned home. Homework first, then chores. Dad taught me how to wash dishes. One spot or a missed particle of food on a spoon or a dish, and everything went back into the sink to be washed again. Dad loved soap operas, General Hospital, One Life to Live, and Dark Shadows. He taught me to love them too. I only remember his face wreathed in smiles. Every morning, while I ate Rice Krispies or cornflakes, he had a T-bone steak, rare, with a small jar of yellow French's mustard on the side for dipping. Dad's breakfast 7 days a week, chased with almost a gallon of Wanzer's milk. Summers with Dad were the coolest of cool. We went to the beach almost daily. He even took my friends. We all piled into his lime green with white leather interior convertible Cadillac. Me, Gigi, Margine in the back seat. I was Daddy's girl in the time before my little brother came to be. From age 3 until 8.5 years old, he was mine, and I knew love. But then he wasn't mine. Sunday morning, February 16th, 1969, was the last time I saw him alive. Sitting at the kitchen table with his T-bone and jar of mustard, me with my weekend breakfast special, raw Oscar Mayer wieners that I shared with my little brother Pepper. Laughing and talking about Mom and Dad's upcoming day. They were going out, I don't remember where. That meant Pepper and I would be going across the street to the Cone house, to Gigi's. We loved going to her house. It was full of kids. Gigi had 7 brothers and sisters. And Mrs. Cone was always in the kitchen cooking, usually a pot of beans or a pot of something. Lots more soul food than at home. The day passed, seemingly quickly. It was a little after 7 p.m. when Mrs. Cone says, "It's your mom calling. She wants you and Pepper to come home now." We go out our back door, the front door used only for special company. And me holding Pepper's hand. We cross our street, walk to our walkway, and up the stairs. We enter our front door. To the right of our entry hall is the living room. Mom is sitting in a chair just inside that hall. She is angry. I see it. I sense it. She says, "Go get you and Pepper ready for bed. School tomorrow." While she's speaking, the phone starts ringing. So she adds, "Answer it." I walk through the dining room, into the kitchen, and towards the yellow princess wall phone. I answer it. "Hello." And I hear, "This is the Chicago Police Department. We are looking for Mrs. Teresa Chilton."
Okay, when you're ready.
Okay. My name is Larry Feinberg, and primarily what I've done with my life is to write plays for theater. However, when I wasn't writing plays for theater for about 44 days, I was homeless. It was scary and distressing, but I managed to come out of it in one fractured piece. This is the piece you see before you now.
All this and make it yours.
Okay. I'm gonna try this. Okay, you can go now.
So great. How do you feel about it?
Can I see it once to see if it looks okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Are you kidding?
I may not have grown up in the ideal home. It was the environment and the hurt that I experienced growing up that made me thrive to make sure my little one had better. It has been even more important to me that my kid sees love in their home, that unlike me, they will not go on a quest searching for the meaning that should be well known. For my kid, I am to build and create a home that allows them to be themselves no matter what. He is my home. When I feel lonely, like there is no one deserving of my love, I look at him and that's simply not true. I am deserving of his love, alongside my healing smile, to enlighten the joy in him that home becomes to me. Joy is my home. It wakes me up some mornings and reminds me to smile. It's the kind of home that when sniffing, you smell fresh baked donuts and picture a field of yellow roses in the spring. It's interesting to ponder a question like, who is home to you? My mom used to be my home, and one I can go to when I felt like my world was crashing. It wasn't until my world started to crash at a different speed that her warmth became cold. It was when Dan came in and showed me that family sticks together no matter what. He makes me feel like I didn't miss out on a home. When I was younger, home to me was lost love and abandonment. It was times where Dan and I would have those 3-hour-long talks at random hours of the day that I grew to realize home is feeling loved and accepted. Home is listening at times just to show you care. He did tell me stories of the home he grew up in, though all of his childhood stories differed from mine. I always found it quite odd. There was a lot more joy in his stories. I seem to have found it very comforting. He had told me that he wants what is good for me, and he shows that. Through me and Dan's journey, I've come to realize that perhaps having a family is having people you can let your guard down with. I've noticed that home isn't a place, but a feeling. That warm, fuzzy feeling that comforts you like a fuzzy blanket. An environment or a vibe where you can be you and not care about who may see it. If I were to reverse things and give them the home I observe that most kids would want, I would. It's the effort and love that I show my kid day by day. the long hours I could spend cuddling him to sleep, because while I did not receive the same embrace, I know that when I show care for him, he has less nightmares. Knowing that he has less nightmares gives me a feeling of peace. That's a feeling I didn't know how amazing could be. Knowing he's dreaming bigger and better dreams.
Here, I have snacks for him. I've got a toy.
Let's get you some snacks.
And I've got a cup.
Come on, let's go have some snacks.
Michael having a heart attack.
Well, you should get that.
Yummy.
Oh, yummy, yummy. Oh, I'm going to carry it. Okay, come on, Jackson, let's go to the other table.
We've got your toy. Here
Oh,
you go.
my goodness, what's that?
You're welcome. Oh, well, we're not handing everything to Michael.
Yeah, Michael's going to carry. He put the one right in my hand.
Okay, I have the perfect. I know exactly what will do the trick. How about this?
Oh, that did the trick.
You can just open it and have it open, and he'll hold it and eat it.
Perfect.
In order to stay focused for the need for home, it's not always a great thing to involve a lot of people. The truth is, struggle is real. It's not a soap opera. The choice not to have a lot of people around you so you can keep your focus and direction is necessary. Everyone who thought I was stable by the way that I look because I'm so productive. Even while being productive, I had to tear off my layers so that I can get the point across. I want my own. Friends say, look at Tiger. She's getting up, working out, she's up and out there. She's not sitting around watching TV. Things aren't handed to us. I work my butt off to help myself. I'm seeking stability. My own place, doing small things like cooking dinner for my kid. That's what makes life simple.
Well, I'm a rabbi, among other things, and right now we're celebrating the holiday of Sukkot, where we make temporary shelters. We kind of celebrate the condition of being human and vulnerable and made of flesh. We make these temporary shelters so flimsy that you can see the sky through the top. And we eat wonderful autumn harvest food, and we have guests. So we choose to be out in the elements. But people don't always have a choice about that. Right now in Los Angeles, we're experiencing a housing tsunami. So many thousands of people are losing homes for purely economic reasons. Sometimes there's other issues like mental health involved, but usually people develop the mental health problems after they've been homeless for a while. It's about money. It's about the pandemic.
What is home? Home to me is not a mansion, not tons of furniture, not valuable things. Home to me is the entire planet. Home is your brain, your body, your peace. Home is you riding the waves, not happy or sad, but vibing through the levels of highs, levels of lows. Being happy comes and goes, as does sadness. Don't be fixated on that. That's dangerous, and that's what they want. So then we could be distracted with quick fixes, pills, fast food, designer clothes, fancy cars, sex, etc. You must go through the worst to tune into the best of your full potential. Home is to know what it's like to not be home, to be uncomfortable, so you know what to stay far away from. Home is being satisfied with what you have. Home is being satisfied with what you have.
For most, home is a brick and mortar building where people store life's belongings, and it's a safe place to sleep. For me, home means so much more. See, when you're laying under the stars on a concrete sidewalk, your mind wanders and you start to think of other things home can be. My first home was an uncomfortable place, but it didn't seem to have things in the right locations. Limbs and parts that didn't feel like they belonged to me. I lived in a house where dysphoria was a frequent visitor. This home, possibilities of rearranging things didn't exist. This home, commonly known as my body, was not a safe space. Born in this home, I was taunted and teased, bullied, because my house didn't look or behave like others, or even those of the rest of the neighborhood. I was miserable, unable to figure out how to rearrange things to mimic the others. Years later, after learning a bit about my architecture, I am able to rearrange and rebuild my house to fit me. I've learned to set boundaries and barriers to make sure visitors didn't show up unannounced, or even at all. Now this home of mine is much more comfortable and, quite frankly, remarkable. This home is what I've always dreamed of, down to all of the intentional details of perfectly groomed facial hair and pectoral muscles that I've learned to flex for entertainment purposes only. As far as my house, where all of my life belongings are stored, I now feel comfortable inviting others to share my home with. However, I do worry for those that cannot find solace in their home or house to store their life belongings in because of their presentation. Trans people, especially transmasculine people, are forgotten demographically, especially when it comes to housing and home. There's no temporary housing for them to find a home, while women, men, youth, elders, and trans women have places they can go to bunker down temporarily. Trans men do not. Looking for home is not easy as a trans man. The risk of violence, abuse, and rape is too high even to live with cis men or cis women. Understanding all of this is heartbreaking and motivating for us to build our own so we can be home.
My name is Caden. I am a trans male. I'm a single father. I'm very grateful of my life and things that I love. Fatherhood. I love the life I'm living. I have a passion for writing and art and music and helping others, and I really want to get that word out and so let others really know who I am and how I am, the kind of person I am, and those are things that are close to home to me and close to the heart.
Got it. Speaking of close to the heart, look at this guy. Oh my God, what an adorable kid.
Awesome.
What's their name?
Say, my name is Jax.
What's
Jackson.
Is this about this friend?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. This is the break, right?
Yeah, this is the actual reason why, how I put the two people I chose. This is the reason why I chose those two. I chose it in regards to understanding that it's not easy. The home is it doesn't take a lot of people.
This is a different
Yes.
person than this.
This is that last statement that I put there.
Great. No, that's perfect. So
Yeah.
just pause here.
Okay.
So that we could break it up.
Okay.
If necessary.
Okay.
So just take a little beat.
Okay.
Do the whole speech again.
My friend is home. Being around her keeps me focused. Continuing on my path towards stability. It's kind of funny because a lot of our other friends fall by the wayside and I'm still here. Some people insinuate that I'm hitting on her. It's not like that. We have the common interest and the same responsibility. No need to lie. That's what I love about my friend.
Okay.
So last question.
Sure.
So what are you excited about getting out of this project?
Some sense about where I've been and where I might be going. I'm trying to find some comparative emotional sanity. Not mental sanity so much as emotional, which is harder to come by, I think.
I came in here with Lucia, my amazing mentor, and actually I have learned some things, through writing and through going through everything with her, through just the entire process. I've learned different writing skills. I've learned kind of to let my guard down a bit because honestly, writing is a very vulnerable thing.
Mom had been sitting in an upright straight chair in a dark room for months. I looked in before and after school, then again before bed. She never spoke, at least not to me. She was always staring straight ahead. Her eyes looked empty. I don't remember when it was exactly, but I recall the lilac bushes next to the main floor bedrooms were in bloom. The scent wafting through the house, so maybe late summer. Then, one day, my mother came out of her room and announced she was going out, never saying where she was going. My mother had the look of an Italian or Greek woman. I overheard this said once. Or as my dad's sisters would say, Teresa passed, for white. Fair, kind of olive skin, dark, slightly curly hair worn Jackie O style. She had a smattering of freckles across the bridge of her nose that showed through her makeup. Ample bosoms, very small waistline, and good hips. She usually wore pedal pushers and sleeveless blouses with a collar and Keds sneakers in the summer. When she went to her office at Lewis Cheskin and Associates, she wore suits in colors of the season with matching shoes, heels, and purse or handbag. I think she sometimes or occasionally wore hats, but I really don't have a visual memory of it. So that day, after sitting alone for weeks, she left around 9 a.m. I didn't see her again until after dark. She had short platinum blonde hair, really long false eyelashes, super weird eyebrows, and an almost new face, lots of makeup, and bright lipstick. She wore a really short, colorful printed dress and chunky platform boots. Oh, and a really big dangly earrings. She kind of looked like my mom. I don't know or remember how I knew, but I did. She was different. She didn't smell or feel like my mom anymore. I didn't know this lady.
I'm Lucia Chappelle, and I've been with QueerWise a couple of years now. Although Michael and I have been friends for longer than either of us would like to admit. I'm the associate producer of This Way Out, the international LGBTQ radio magazine, and I'm the social justice minister at Founders MCC here in Los Angeles. Michael offered this project to members of QueerWise, and I jumped at the chance because I really love the idea of getting people to tell their stories and getting people who had lived or were living on the streets to share something authentic. It just seemed like a brilliant idea to me. And the one-on-one mentor thing, and we vacillated a lot about, do we call us mentors, teachers, and I think partners is really a better thing, because we're always learning from the people we're working with, and hopefully they're learning from us.
Okay, we're probably good now.
Okay. Our house on Victoria Avenue in Montreal was lovely from the outside, all stone, not brick, with a terrific rock garden designed by both parents that gave the impression of comfort and style and floral panache that might soothe and caress and care for nearby inhabitants. The comfort went to rat shit when you entered the living room, which was a generous size but tricky to walk in, overstuffed with English knickknacks picked out by the parents on trips to London antique shops. Mother-liked small things, miniature teacups, tiny ceramic birds, all crowded onto tiny wooden tables or three-pronged stands replete with tiny shelves that jutted out, making walking tricky. You were fearful you'd knock off an antique, whatever. Looming over all was a large oil painting of Ruth, mother, in a gray dress, wearing pearls and looking perplexed as though she wasn't going to get through the next 10 minutes without an attack of nerves. Directly below the oil painting was a long, gorgeous, comfortable sofa upholstered in green and white stripes, seemingly seductive to place one's butt on, except for mounds of plastic covering it from the possibility of stain. After Ruth's suicide and the grisly theater of Shiva, where scores of relatives, mostly absent friends from her life, her best friend, the diminutive Kitty Lang, who drank like a parched lobster, waving its red claws, that would seemingly hold 3 glasses full of Crown Royal whiskey at once, always needing replenishing. When after 3 days, instead of the orthodox 7, I'd said to Dad, please, not 3 nights more of them, and to my delighted relief he replied, I'm so glad you said that. On the 4th night, a few showed up, although we'd kept the living room lights out. They rang the bell, a no-no, and I wouldn't let them in, saying, thank you for coming, we're going to mourn alone now, and away they went. I now put on every light in the living room and said to Dad, this sofa is so terrific, we're going to remove all the hideous plastic and really sit on it. To my surprise, Dad said, let's do it. And like starved men being suddenly shown a banquet, we pulled every fucking plastic covering off the sofa and took it outside to garbage cans and returned to the living room, and in a sudden rush of comfort and, yes, life, sat down on the bliss of a welcoming sofa and began to discuss the possibility, the chance, the instinct inside us both that we might somehow map out uncharted discoverable routes, however intangible, to a future. And the room one lived in offered a fresh hint of, dare we whisper the word? Home. Okay.
And as a trans man, there's often not anywhere for us to go. There's nowhere to place us currently in this particular day, like today in time. There's nowhere to house trans men, because there's women's housing, there's children's housing, there's women and children's housing.
I didn't feel comfortable being gay. I didn't feel comfortable about being out and non-binary. I didn't feel comfortable dressing the way I wanted. I moved to LA last year, and I don't know, I moved here on a mistake, but out of that mistake, it turned out to be a really great place, and I'm really happy where I am right now.
So when you're ready.
Home. Home can mean or be so many things or people. Home for me means the place where I can belong. It means I'm safe, that those around me see me as the person that I am, and I can exactly be who I am. For so very long, I wandered, both physically and mentally, to find this place called home. I explored so many realms, looking for my reflection and searching to see where I fit. Sadly, I'm still searching. I grew up as an army brat with 5 siblings, as the firstborn. I felt so alone my entire childhood because although we shared a bloodline, none of my siblings understood me. It was different. I was unaware that I was born biologically male up until I was 8, and up until my teen years, I was in a depression bubble. I wanted to be something at the time I thought was impossible. Then I discovered lesbians, and not only lesbians, but lesbians that look like boys. I was ecstatic. I felt that I was a great candidate for lesbianhood, so I hung out with the stud crowd, and the more and more time I spent with my newfound tribe, the more and more I saw they were still not who I was. I figured this was the closest I was going to get, so I stuck with it. Then depression and imposter syndrome started to kick in. Studs, lesbians, butch women were not my community either. These women were adamant about being called she and her, and they would knock your whole head off if you called them sir. They were very attached to their womanly parts and had no issues standing in aisle 5 looking for tampons and sanitary napkins, while I would send my sister or my girlfriend to the store to buy them and bring them home in an unmarked brown bag. So I encountered a trans man, a black trans man, and see myself clear as day in him. Ah, this is where I belong. Someone that sees the world the way I do and navigates the way that I do. I knew I was a boy. I'm here. Then I realized, even within this community, it's still not home. Culture, the toxicity of masculinity, and misogyny were the culprits here. I do not have value here or a voice here in a space where I should be safe, should be able to be exactly who I am. But still, I am muted, still erased. Societal norms dictate what my masculinity is and how I'm supposed to perform it. Even within a community that demands inclusion, I have been excluded. Resources, funds, housing, and respect don't exist here for me. My existence for me and those like me is forgotten because of the societal norms that erase the journey that I've walked to my manhood simply because of my appearance. I know that my burly stature and my boyish good looks, most are unaware that I'm trans at first glance or even second or third glance. However, this doesn't take away my need to be safe and have medical care that doesn't traumatize me at every visit because the doctor wants to talk about my transition instead of the broken pinky toe that I came in for. So I will continue to find a home where I truly belong, or better yet, I'll just build it. If Superman can have the Justice League, I can have one too.
The kitchen was the heart of my world and of Nana's, I think. Johanna Catherine Conrad, née Fletcher, my mother's mother, my Nana, a demure, soft-spoken woman with twinkly blue eyes. Some of my earliest memories are of her. The view of her legs from my position under the kitchen table, where I sat working on a garbage salad. She, standing at the stove, stirring a pot of green beans and white potatoes. Cooking. She was my first inspiration, my gateway to a lifelong passion. Sitting on that floor, cooking and baking along with Nana. Garbage salad. If salad was on the menu, cucumber rinds, tomato cores, the butt or core of the lettuce. Or if it was apple pie, the cores and peel of the apple. I even had my own miniature rolling pin, pie tins, and measuring cups. My Nana was second-generation German-Austrian immigrant and one of 10 children. Her parents immigrated from the town of Oppegard on the German-Austrian border, coming to Chicago around 1905. She found herself married to a black man in 1937 Chicago. She was beautiful. The kitchen was where the Carters, Marguerite or her mom, Mrs. Carter, or maybe even one of Marguerite's older grown sisters, would be when they visited. They were always nice to baby me. I thought they were pretty and they made Nana laugh. A lot. But sometimes Mrs. Carter would sit at the kitchen table and drink coffee with Nana while I ate my Carter treat of half and half over a bowl of Jell-O. And Nana would whisper about that man, Albert, her husband, my grandfather. When she whispered, she did not smile, but if she noticed I was watching her, she would laugh and smile. When I was older, the kitchen was my place, no longer under the table, but standing at the stove, preheating the oven, checking the racks, positioning them just right. Wouldn't want to burn the bacon. It's a Sunday morning, and Pepper is watching TV. I want to surprise Nana, who hasn't come downstairs yet. I get the broiler pan ready, all covered with foil, then carefully lay the bacon just like Nana showed me to when I was a little kid, 8 years old. I'm 11 now, so I can do it faster. It's a big kitchen, the biggest I've ever cooked in. It's painted a very pale yellow with white ceilings. There are lots of windows and an enclosed back porch, and I can see all of the woods from that porch through the windows that lead out to them. Dominating the middle of the kitchen is a large round glass table with black wrought iron legs, bent to look like flowers. The sink is just across from the back porch, but the table dominates.
I hate the word qualifier, but what would you say, digging into your past, what makes you a really qualified person to be on the mentor side of this relationship you're having?
Well, I mean, I feel that even to this minute, I could be homeless next year. I mean, my financial situation has always been tenuous as a freelance artist and as a person with HIV/AIDS and a few other attendant diseases and illnesses, and coping with that hierarchy of the system to bring in money and figure out money and grants and this and that. You know, I've always been on the edge, as it were, sometimes far worse than today, to be perfectly honest. However, I understand it, and I also understand being abandoned, and I understand being lonely, and I understand having no support or those feelings, you know. So I think that those are universal feelings that that I just can empathize with, and I think that that's the most important thing.
When it came down to my bedroom, it was my home. I could do everything there. I could watch TV and play video games. When I was in my room, it became my safe space. People wonder why a teen's first place to go when they get home is their room. My reason was because it had everything I loved in it. If I was pissed, I can go to my room and punch a pillow. When I was sad, I can go to my room and play my guitar or keyboard. I also had a comfy bed to comfort me when I was going through my worst days. I remember having this horrible day in high school. I had missed my alarm clock, so I got to school late. Once I got there, I ran into my school bully, who would typically come and beat me down verbally. Say things like, "You're not worth anything," or make fun of my personal life. That was also the day I got pooped on by a bird twice. They say it's good luck, but it's not that good when you only have one shirt you're wearing. It would cause my bully and their friends to bully me even more. It was in those moments that all I wanted to do was go home. Go to my room, play my keyboard, and be in my safe space. That room is what got me through the day. It gave me something to look forward to. This narrow corner, that's so small yet so big. This is a place that brings up a feeling of discomfort. Things have happened here that make me tremble inside at the thought of it. When I see this hallway, I only think of bad things. Like the time he aggressively pushed me against the dryer and I fell to my knees. My moments of kindness were traded for weakness. Such a small cornered space. Perhaps this is why people become so claustrophobic. Traumatizing things can cause fear of the things we face every day. I recall running in and out of the hallway, often, usually, to or from drama. It makes me wish hallways were less of a hall and more of a way. An open room where we can discuss things instead of fighting and bickering. The greatest thing about that hallway, thankfully, was that it led to my room. I knew that I didn't have to stay there. I knew that a hallway was only meant to enter and exit. Therefore, the bad memories I have can stay there. The things that made me feel less at home would soon fade away because I now feel more whole. Like I wasn't trapped and cornered to face the disgusting things I had heard before. Thanks to my bedroom, that broken and lost hallway can be that and not much more. It can be a place where laundry is done and things are stored, rather than a place where one stood tall and let their wicked tongues and their malice minds get the best of them. The comfort of a kitchen. The kitchen. The place that I can go in and know I can leave out with a full belly. It was always a place where I was never sure what to eat because the cabinets were stacked and the fridge always stayed full. In the kitchen, I was more of a tester. I used to love testing new recipes and such. I'd go home and cook up some random lunch that only brought certainty and comfort to me. Typically, I'd return home from school to an empty house, so I would cook and try to make the best of it. I'd listen to music and cook while dancing carefree. Although, there were times I'd stare out the window and envy the home others had, where they weren't dancing alone. Families with homes that were more bonded, and ones who actually spent more time together. The ones who had family dinner and sat at the table, cordially conversing. The family I had tended to go separate ways at dinner time. When I would cook my meals, I could imagine that kind of family I would serve to if I had the chance. Somehow it brought me comfort. So much comfort that I'd actually cook family meals, though often I was the only person eating them. There's a place to go when we need to let go. A place where we feel relaxed and at peace regardless of the chaos around us. For me, this is my patio. It was a place to meditate and ground myself effortlessly. I was able to step outside and enjoy the things I had in front of me. The things we tend to forget when living in the world we live in. Some mornings I'd go out to the balcony and listen to the birds chirp. I'd see the fog settling after the sun had set. It always felt so warm and comforting to me. To hear those beautiful hummingbirds play outside at 6 a.m. in the morning and smell the air at its freshest. Almost like when you step out onto a beach and the breeze hits you. It was truly the most relaxing thing. In those moments, I allowed myself not to think, but to feel. Being on the balcony allowed me a space to bond with good people in my life, while also giving me a space to escape the negativity that surrounded me. It was a small space that when sitting there, you felt less alone. This balcony allowed me to gain a sense of healing when the waves came rushing in. That's it.
Yeah.
There's stuff in there that we haven't
I
recorded.
have one more thing on the phone which we didn't type out.
Can you get it?
All right. Okay.
Oh.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
And
Yeah,
this
like really
goes
feels
with
like
this.
fall right now.
Yeah, it jumped from straight from summer to fall. I'm just putting these in order. Oh, look, cello comes back like this. Yes, and this is.
You ready now?
Yeah.
Okay, so whenever I visit her, it's always a warm and open conversation, even though she has a lot to deal with. She's always been open and compassionate in regards towards my situation. She respects my aim. She shares the things about her daughter who's still at home. I want to be able to brag about my daughter. Funny thing, she never focused directions on the daughter conversation. Her and her husband are always trying to figure out why I look so young. We always tease him about betting that I was 35. I'm not.
Now we're gonna go on to this one, which is called Put On Your Backpack. So, living in Los Angeles is what people dream, but for me, my time is done and I want to be off the scene. I don't want an apartment, I don't want handouts, I don't want fancy things. I want to maintain my peace of mind, no matter how bad some days might sting. I had apartments, but never felt satisfied because the greatest feeling is knowing that wherever you are, you're comfortable inside. An electric car would be cool, and so would a castle, but I'm always on the move, and I always love to travel. So, if I had to pick 3 things that keep me focused and fixated on, it would be a healthy, peaceful mind, maintaining my fitness, and lastly, appreciating every day along this journey, no matter where I'm at, because it doesn't last long.
The age thing is not fun.
No, it's not. It's not. The only thing is, I tell myself, you can tell me if I'm full of shit about this. We've been in some of the same places, I suspect. Okay, they like to discover you when you're young and they're breaking in new talent. But isn't it also possible that they like to find you again when you're older and say, we rescued him from obscurity? Or
I believe it a little. It happens to me.
The half sculpture at Steve Sondheim's house stretched out over the table between the 2 half sofas with a kind of cape extending from the statue's arms, floating, mocking gravity, and inviting you to coast with it, providing defiance to natural laws, and beckoning you to coast with Steve, always drinking numerous Danish Marys, which are akavit instead of vodka, and always available at his house, which is 246 East 49th Street, Turtle Bay. Will always be a home to me of endless dialogue, endless challenges, much help, and a talk deep, dark of things about life, of theater, of hope lost, regained, love, and incidentally Katharine Hepburn, who lived next door to Steve. Visits to Steve were generally twice weekly for drinks, occasional dinners, and discussion of any and everything that mattered. He'd met me when I was an aspiring theater producer and was bowled over and surprised when I handed him, surprise, my first play I'd written. And 2 days later went to Toronto for its rehearsals. Now, we opened to unanimously unfavorable reviews, which stung. Was my change in career a grave mistake? But nonetheless, the box office was good throughout the run. Still, I worried. A letter arrived at the theater from Steve, which read in part, "I have no idea what you're trying to say in this play, and I couldn't put it down. It's consistently funny and witty. Are you writing another play? You have to. Start now." Which left me suddenly back in his living room, mocking gravity and floating with that statue's arms, safe in Steve's home.
The question was posed to me, what are my greatest hopes or desires from this? And my answer was to grow, to flourish, to dream again, to not fade in the face of fear, but to charge ahead, full steam into it, to remember and remember all, the good and the happy memories and the painful and hurtful ones. Release the holds and limits I have placed on myself, to go forward, unashamed of who I was, who I am, what I have done, and to want, to write, to teach, to inspire, to share truth as is and not as someone or something else wants it to be, to reconcile and discover what was so, to proceed forward with what is, who I am in this or any moment, to embrace myself, my journey, and to proudly share it with those who are in need or have need to know they are not freaks, they are not the only one, to live and to be as I was meant to be, unashamedly me, to write, to really share my story. And that's about it for the writing.
At times, it's my dreams I set forth that make me feel home. More so, in a sense where it's where I'm supposed to be. Like following a path to success and good health is good. So when things good come from my accomplishments, I take that as comforting. Dreams are comforting. They make me feel like I have more to hope for and more to do with my life. I dream to be a stage pianist, live with my students high but away from the crowd. I could see myself as a music producer, so my music talents and interests. Music, art, and helping others are a part of my dream. The dreams I strive to make come true in one way or another.
Self-expression is survival. You know, everything has to express its needs in order to live. You know, baby has to cry to be fed. A flower has to bloom to attract the birds and the bees. Everything has to express itself. Cave people coming up, you know, with nothing, no news to report, but needed to draw and write on the walls of the caves to somehow make a mark.
And lastly, I have a poem for you, which is called "The Door is Locked." The door is locked, the key is gone. Stop wasting time, just move on. The big mansion, that's what they show us, but peace of mind is what they owe us. Chasing the money will leave you burnt. Fuck all the shopping, love is firm. Sex is cool, but must have a connection. Gotta feel truth when you see your reflection. Pink condoms, must wear protection. Unless they're the one, then by all means. Waking up to your face, what a sight to see. But seeing myself when I wake up is the joy for me. Eating fruit and licking whatever dripped off of you is one fun time, but remember to be serious too. The door is locked, do you want to know why? Because there is no door to unlock. Home is in our mind. Home is in our mind. That is all from Free Spirit.
Homeless, homeless, moonlight sleeping on the midnight lake. And we are homeless, we are homeless, moonlight sleeping on the midnight lake. And we are homeless, homeless, moonlight sleeping on the midnight lake. And we are homeless, 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 moonlight sleeping on the midnight lake. Inhliziyo yami, inhliziyo yami, inhliziyo yami, ngulela makhaza, ngulele mina, inhliziyo yami, somandla ngulele mina, amakhaza, imam, inhliziyo yami.
Okay.
Now, do you say clearly Stephen Sondheim at the beginning?
I hope so.
Just do that line, that paragraph one more time.